Welcome to my first ever attempt at a Youth to Gold save, made famous by Omega Luke. I'm pretty sure these are the rules. Well, they're the rules according to ChatGPT anyway. It is relatively straightforward. All we need to do is sign nobody older than the age of 19. If a player is older than 30 in our squad, we need to sell them, and that's pretty much it. To be more specific from ChatGPT's perspective, they have basically said focus on youth development, which is kind of obvious if you can't be keeping players after the age of 30, but also sell players strategically. So sometimes you don't have to sell necessarily only the players over 30. You can maybe sell a 25-year-old for a nice bit of money to bring in a 19-year-old who's going to be pretty good. And as you can see, the team that we have picked to do this challenge with is VfB Stuttgart. And the reason I've picked VfB Stuttgart is because back in FM, I'm going to say 18, maybe, I did a save with VfB Stuttgart and it was really good fun. I don't even think it was on YouTube. It was just a game that I did by myself and I absolutely loved it. I thought, you know what? Let's do another save with them. So sticking to the rules of Youth to Gold, obviously, we need to sell any players who are over the age of 30. And looking at our squad currently, so we are on the 5th of June 2025. We have holidayed forward effectively 2 full seasons in game, and we've only got 2 players over the age of 30 in the in the first team squad. So we've got Ryman and Duksch, could be his name, but also if we go to our dev center, we do have VfB Stuttgart 2, and we also have a man called Fabian Bredlow, who's also 30 years old, so he needs to leave as well. We have a gigantic squad because of VfB Stuttgart 2, basically. These players, I feel like, are never going to make it good for us. Potential-wise, absolutely every single one of them, bar Herworth, isn't ever going to get close to being good enough for us, and arguably Herworth as well, at 3.5 star potential ability, I'm not even convinced he's going to do any good. So then on the 5th of June, the transfer window, I don't believe it's open yet, or if it is, we haven't done any business anyway. We have £1 million to spend, which it sounds worrying. I'm not concerned at all because we have players that we can move on and arguably will be moving on. Main thing we need to focus on is obviously if we can only buy players up to the age of 19 years old, we can't buy a 20-year-old, we can buy 19 years old. We need to make sure that, first of all, we're buying ones of high potential, but also ones that could improve our starting 11. I think that's going to be the big struggle. And as we jump forward to the 2nd of September, we are still looking at the finances, and everything looks a lot healthier. We have £150 million in the bank, £114 million worth of transfer budget, and the transfer window is closed. So going right back to the very start of the save, like I said, this started in technically 2023, but I think some of these transfers have actually happened in real life, like the January one. So Eduardo, that's his name, I believe does play for VfB Stuttgart, same as Stendel does play for Burnley, or was not Burnley on loan. But these are the transfers that took place basically without my knowledge, really. So Latassa, Brandon Williams on a free, Duksch joining Barrow, Humphreys on a loan deal, Dahoud on a loan deal, and Ryman also joining on a loan deal. Obviously, these 2 players should be going back to their clubs. And there's also, if in case you're interested, a whole bunch of players leaving the clubs on permanent deals, some of them on loan deals. The big one there is Angelo Stiller moving to Manchester United, which is actually a transfer that I did, which is why we've got a big chunk of money. I didn't really want to do this, but I kind of felt like we needed to because of our transfer budget being so low, and he's got such a high, not high potential, but high value. I mean, I assume he's got a high potential as well, but high value. We had to cash in. We've got obviously a lot of money coming in for Stiller, but he wasn't the only player leaving on a permanent deal. Marvin Duksch, a player who was over the age of 30, has left, moving over to AZ Alkmaar for £2.8 million. We signed him last season for 6.75. It's a sensible bit of business. Maximilian Mittelstadt, which is a great name, has moved over to Hoffenheim. He has gone for, I believe, £3 million. Obviously, he was not actually over 30. He's 28 years old. He was on loan at Hoffenheim last season. I think this was kind of a deal that we had to accept. Manuel Ryman, one of our players over 30 years old, he's moved over to West Ham, £600,000. Not a lot of money, but we did just have to get rid of him. He's not quite over 30, but he will be in literally 4 days' time, so I thought, you know what, let's get rid of him. Matus Bero, the Slovak international, has moved over to FC Utrecht. He's gone for literal pennies, £400,000, and we paid $3 million for him last year. And then you must be wondering where all of this transfer budget and actual bank balance has come from. Well, 3 other players have left for big deals. Joshua Wagnerman has moved over to Borussia Dortmund. He has gone for £30 million. We brought him in for £3.2 million, apparently. He's moved over for £30 million. It's a big sum of money for Wagnerman. Another big sum of money is Hiroki Ito, the Japanese international. He's moved over to Newcastle for £34.5 million, brought in for just $350,000. And finally, also moving over to Newcastle is Serhou Guirassy. He has moved for £17.25 million, which sounds not enough, not a lot of money, certainly not enough money. That was his minimum fee release, so he had to basically accept that. I did try and offer him a new deal. He didn't want to accept the new deal, so he's moved over to Newcastle. We have reinvested quite a lot of money, though. First of all, the elephant in the room. Saud Abdulhamid is 26 years old. We are not supposed to be signing players over the age of 19. He was agreed before I actually joined the club. He's come in on a free transfer from Al Hilal. I will probably be selling him within the next couple of seasons, I reckon. And then going up in value, first of all, is Kevin Situ, a free transfer, formerly of Monaco. Obviously not good enough for the first team, but I'm hoping there's some potential there, one for the future. For £350,000, we have gone to Dynamo Dresden and signed Arthur Herman. He is also not good enough at the moment. I'm putting all these players straight into the first team, by the way, in hopes that they are going to develop and maybe get a bit of game time here and there. Herman, like I said, definitely one for the future. Probably one for now, but maybe shouldn't be for now, is Arjan Malic. In fact, he's sat in the under-19s. I do need to promote him to the first team. He has come in from SV Reed, 20 years old. He wasn't 21 when I signed him. Okay, he was 19 when I signed him. He has cost £1.7 million. Oh, another elephant in the room, a completely different shaped elephant this time. It is Mahmoud Dahoud, who has signed from Brighton on a permanent deal, 29 years old. Not ideal. He'll be 30 on New Year's Day. He has joined from Brighton. We had him on loan last season, and there was a deal in there to sign him for £1.8 million, which we have done, which is kind of annoying because I didn't really want him anyway. The first of our new gens to join the club is Mikel Gonzalez, 17 years old, Spanish under-19 international, signed from Atletico Pamplona, which is Osasuna. I believe he has cost £2 million. I think he could be good. He spent last season out on loan. I don't think he's going to be good enough to play for us anytime soon, but his value is ridiculously high, which says to me this potential is not a joke. There is potential in Gonzalez because of the value being so high. Next up is Oliver Lukic, £3.4 million, Croatian central midfielder, right winger, striker, attacking midfielder. Not quite sure where he could possibly play, but he's obviously young enough to sign for us. He's come in, he's definitely going to be a bit of a squad player, but probably good enough to get some game time right now. We've got one more player to mention, and that is Hassan Diao, a 19 years old Spanish under-21 international signed from Real Betis. He is our Guirassy replacement. And I'm not sure whether it's a good idea because Guirassy's a striker and this guy's a winger. But this is what we've gone for. Diao has cost 25, possibly going up to £30 million. So there has been a lot of transfer business. In fact, there was one more player that we missed, is Lachlan Samuel, a player that I had on loan, or actually signed on a permanent deal for my Brisbane Roar side. If you want to go check the channel out, you can watch 10 seasons of me in charge of Brisbane Roar in the Australian A-League. He's come in on loan until the end of the season. Basically, a little bit of squad depth. Leaving the club, there have been a whole bunch of other players as well. Not going to go through them all. Obviously, you can see all of the names there. I believe we have got rid of all the 30-year-olds. We will double check. So, we have got, the oldest now is Dahoud at 29, we've got Stenzel at 29, and we've got Vladimir Anton also at 29. So these three players will be sold by the summer next season. And in VfB Stuttgart 2, we have Brad Lowe still at the club. He has gone out on loan, and I think he's out of contract soon. Maybe not. Nobody wanted him on a permanent deal, so we've loaned him out, which I feel like that's fine. Okay, that's acceptable, right? He's not going to be at the club. We're never going to play him. I'm just going to get rid of him as soon as I possibly can. Right now, nobody wanted him. And I think, from a formation perspective, this is what we're going to go for. A 4-2-4 gegenpress straight out of the box. And we're going to be playing at Diao. Like I said, he's going to be that Guirassy replacement. This would have been Guirassy's position. Diao is going to be playing as a pressing forward. Everyone else is kind of up for grabs. I feel like Silas might get a lot of game time maybe as that striker, although I think Silas is probably the right winger, isn't he? Or Enzo Emilio could be that right winger. Basically, I think we've got a good squad. We do have quite a hefty squad. There's a lot of players in here. We've got Dennis Seaman, by the way. I didn't even realise he was at the club, but he's amazing. Okay, 19 years old. In theory, I don't need to ever buy a goalkeeper because Dennis Seaman's here, which is perfect. We have got a couple of youngsters, Perceivers, actually came through our youth intake in season 1, maybe? Possibly looks like season 1, actually. So he was here when I joined the club. Probably one for the future, but he is getting into the first team, hopefully get some game time there. We've got a few, 19 years old, 17-year-old Mikel Gonzalez, as we know. Arthur Herman is one of the new signings. We've got Lukic. We've also got Kellen Slack, an English and German youngster. I think there's something good here as well, possibly up to 7 million. Says to me, he's got a bit of potential. We've also got Jules Shimanga Ngonga, might be his name, who also came through our youth intake in season 1, I believe. He's really, really quick. I'm not too convinced this is a good one. My coaches don't think he's good. I think there's something there, so we've put him into the first team as well. Who else have we got that's worth kind of mentioning? No one really. We've got a big squad. Like I said, we've got a lot of players. We do need to kind of work out what we don't need. But obviously, Season 1, we kind of just have to deal with what we're given. Also, in Season 1, obviously, we are in the Europa League. I say obviously, it's not obvious. We are in the Europa League. We're obviously in the DFB Pokal and the Bundesliga. The reason why we're in the Europa League, if we jump back to Season 1, they finished in 5th place. In Season 2, they finished in 5th place. So Season 3, if we finish in 5th place, which is where we currently sit, I take that as a win, okay? Because in theory, we have certainly weakened our squad with selling some players like your Itos and your Gerassis. And if we can kind of maintain, finish in 5th place, I'll be happy with that. We have kicked off the season winning twice against Schalke and Freiburg, losing against Hoffenheim. I'm okay with that. Europa League, do we care? Do we care about the Europa League right now? Ultimately, in 10 seasons with this Stuttgart side, I want to win the Champions League. That's my ultimate goal, is I want to win the Champions League. I want to win the Bundesliga. I want to win the Champions League. So Europa League, if we can win it, that'll be nice. I'm not too fussed right now. Right then, without further ado, let's jump forward to the start of the next transfer window. It will be around, I believe, probably the 1st of January. Half of the season will have been played, or most of the season. Most of the season? Some games, a quantity of games will have been played in the Bundesliga, so we'll see how well things have gone. I want to be in the top 6. That's where I want to finish. With 7th. 7th place, it's fine. 7th place is okay. We have drawn just once against Augsburg. 8 defeats. Some of them looking pretty sizable. Bayern and Leipzig there. 7-1 defeat against Leipzig is not good. A 4-0 against Union Berlin as well. At home, it's not a good result. Europa League, we're 18th. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. A 7-0 win against Anderlecht, 4-1 against Roma. 2 draws. Utrecht and Besiktas, and 2 defeats against Rapid and Genk. Really? We should have beat both Rapid and Genk, but there we are. And then the DFB Pokal, we are into it's the quarterfinal, and that's where the board want us to get to. We're up against St. Pauli. I think we should be good enough to beat St. Pauli, you know. And it is a transfer window. It is the 1st of January. It is 8 a.m. in the morning. We've got £114 million to spend, which is a ridiculously large amount of money, and I will not be spending all of it. I will guarantee you that. I don't want this to basically become like every other Youth to Gold save that people do on YouTube, where they'll just buy the best players they can possibly get. I want to try and buy some players who maybe you won't see normally. I want to try and buy some players, new gens, for example, that I can kind of develop and turn into better footballers. So that's my goal. So I imagine in a month's time, we're going to have possibly £80 million left of that transfer budget. So January was pretty uneventful, which I'm kind of okay with. We sold 1 player. It is Sigas, might be his name. He has moved over to, technically, RB Salzburg, but he's playing for FC Liefering, which is the second team. He's gone for £72,000. So, yeah, not really a lot of money at all. But we have brought in 2 players as well. First of all, for £2.7 million signing from Union Berlin is Oluwaseun Ogbemudia? Maybe, could be his name. Ogbemudia, that's what I'm going to call him. 19 years old, obviously, under the threshold, which is good. Capped at under 18 level for the German national side. I think he's good already. He's obviously got some potential as well. I think this is really clever business. I say clever. It's not clever, obviously. But we've spent a small amount of money, £2.7 million, to buy a German footballer who should be playing for us right now and should get better. We've also paid £4.5 million for an Argentine footballer who can't really play for us. He can, but I don't think he's good enough to play for us at the moment. It is Ezekiel Amato, 19 years old, 9 under 20 caps, no goals so far to his name. He's a 6'6" centre-back with 16 heading and 17 jumping reach. If I knew how to do set pieces and sort out the corners where you put, I think, a centre-back at the front post, he'd score 20 goals a season, maybe even more. We're probably not going to do that. But Amato is in. He's coming as a fringe player, probably not going to play a huge amount of football, but I think this is clever business as well. So that is it. I think I said Amato was 4.5. It was £4.2 million. That is all we have done. So we've still got £108 million worth of transfer budget to spend, £117.5 million in the bank. So far, when it comes to the league, we are now 7th place, which is exactly where we were a minute ago. I don't think we've lost any more games. I think we've drawn 1 more, maybe. I think I'm okay finishing 7th place in the table. I think this is fine. There is a bit of a gap between us and Frankfurt in 6th place, so the 5-point gap that we need to try and close. But maybe Season 2 out of Europe could be a good thing. Speaking of Europe, we have made it through the group stage. We are up against PAOK. how do we do in the league in the end? Finishing 14th. So we picked up one more victory, a 2-1 win against Red Star. We also drew with Sporting, and we haven't lost any more games because those were the only 2 matches that we have lost. So I'm okay with that. Obviously, when we jump forward then to the knockout phase, PAOK of Greece, I think we should be good enough to get past those. And we don't know who we're getting in the round of 16 at the moment because we haven't got there. So we've just got one more thing left to do, and that is to jump to the end of the season where we'll obviously see how things go in the 3 competitions we're in, but we'll also have a youth intake, which we'll take a look at. And then we'll also take a look at some of the players who are in the squad, and also some of the players who we will be probably looking to replace in the summer. Kicking things off then with the DFB Pokal, we lose against HSV in the semi-final, a 2-0 defeat, Leipzig, HSV in the final, eventually won by Leipzig. It would be nice to win this, but obviously, Season 1, the fact that we got to the semi-final, that's not too bad. And in the Europa League, we got knocked out by Spurs in the quarter-final, which is annoying because we did actually beat them. We lost 3-0 in the first match and then 4-3 victory in the second, losing 6-4 on aggregate. Spurs then go on to lose against Roma Bilbao, beating Lyon in the semi-final. And the final is won by Athletic Bilbao in extra time. And the Bundesliga, we finished in 8th place. If we finished in 7th, where we have been literally all season, we would have qualified for the Europa Conference League. Instead, we dropped down. In fact, we were 7th. We actually dropped down all the way to 10th by the looks of it, with 1 match to go, and then jumped up a little bit in the end. So finishing 8th place in the table. I'm not too disappointed. I will double check though. Are the board? The board are not too disappointed. They are satisfied. They did want me to qualify for Europe. Next season, they want me to qualify for the Europa Conference League. So next season, we need to really finish in the top 6. And to do it, we've got £106 million to spend. It's gone down a little bit because we've actually brought in a player, but he's not going to join yet until the summer. But we'll have a look at him at the start of Season 2. Speaking of Season 2, we are going to have, I think, 3 players that we might need to sell in the summer. We know about Dahoud. He joined from Brighton. We have to sell him. It's annoying because we brought him in. HSV want him already, so we've already got some suitors available for Dahoud. Stenzel also needs to be leaving. He's wanted as well. I think he's actually out of contract. He is out of contract in a month, so we don't need to worry too much about that. This one, however, concerns me. Vladimir Anton, 29 years old at the moment, will turn 30 on the 20th of July. I feel like we need to. We need to sell him in that transfer window, don't we? I'm not too sure there's going to be too many people who will want him, purely because he's going to be 30 years old, and I'm going to want £30 million for him, which is a lot of money. Also, he is a very good footballer. The other player that technically we don't have to sell in the summer, but I think I might try and do it, and again, much like Anton, could be a difficult sell. It is Atakan Karazor, who is a 29-year-old German defensive midfielder, but he's worth £35 to £38 million, and I just don't think anyone's going to want to pay what I want to sell him for. I set myself a rule, by the way, that if they are 30 in January, I don't need to sell them in January. It's just the summer transfer window. Start of the season. I can't start a season with a bunch of 30-year-olds. That's kind of my rule. So there's 4 players there in the first team, and if we actually look at all 4 of them, 43 appearances for Karazor, 40 for Anton, 14 starts for Stenzel, and 9 starts for Dahoud, and then a whole bunch off the bench as well. That is a lot of players that we need to replace in the summer. We obviously, all of them are central defenders or midfielders as well. That's a worry. So we've got Lukic, who I'm training up to be a defensive midfielder, by the way. So maybe he's going to kind of slot in. We've also got, when it comes to defenders, we've got a few players here who obviously new to the club. So Ogbamudia, that's what I'm calling him. He's 19, only played 2 matches, 3 off the bench as well. So maybe he's going to get more game time. Maybe that's what we need to do. Amato as well, 7 starts for him. Gonzalez got 2 starts and 5 off the bench. So maybe the centre-backs I'm not too concerned with Anton leaving and Stenzel leaving. The defence midfield is a problem because we literally don't have anyone to play there. I think the summer's going to be busy. Unless we have an absolute gem in one of these 7 men. And I'll tell you now, no. The best player to come through is Ilbabala, who is a 16-year-old attacking midfielder. I mean, mentally looks pretty good, but nothing really outstanding. We've got Jonas Rudolph, sorry. Again, looks all right mentally, got some good numbers. Hawk Baumgartel, I quite like him, but I feel like that's just because of his name. He is no relation, by the way. I feel like he's kind of maybe. I don't know. Not too convinced, though. Kowalski, not too convinced on Kowalski. Gregory Blake, who is a striker. Again, not too convinced on him. Evan Zapier, we're starting to move into the good talents here. It looks a bit rubbish. And Sekir Khan, again, doesn't look particularly good. So I think, like I said earlier, the summer's going to be busy. I will double check quickly. Any 30-year-olds in here? I feel like not anymore. Bredlow we need to get rid of, but we know that anyway. So that is season 1 in the bag from a league perspective. It's okay. The board are kind of content with where we are. Financially, we are in a very good place. We need to do some real big scouting over the summer to find some defence midfielders and some centre-backs who can slot straight into the starting 11. Because we are going to lose some big players in the summer.